They are desperate, poor, vulnerable, persons living with disability. They make up a vast underclass in Kenyan society, enduring years of neglect.
Kwangu mimi ninaona tuko kwa soko na sisi ndio goods zenye zinauzwa. Sisi ndio yenye inawekwa pale kama viazi, mwingine anakuja anatuuza na yeye anaendelea kutajirika na sisi tunaendelea kuwa hohehahe.
They have become prized possessions in the battle for government funding, caught in a web of corruption.
You are interrogating me as if I'm a thief. Hey, no!
Locked up like prisoners. They live in fear. The government and foreign donors release billions of shillings every year.
Wanapiga walemavu picha. Wanapiga walemavu picha. Kama si mmoja, ama si wawili, ama vikundi. Hiyo picha wanapeleka Ulaya. Wanasema hao wataka usaidizi. Kumbe zile pesa zikija zinaingia mwao.
But with weak controls and ruthless profiteers, much of the money ends up in the pockets of a few. They operate in secrecy, covering their tracks when confronted, destroying evidence. Come with me, Sophia Wanuna, on a journey across Kenya that reveals the shocking truth about the disability movement. An internal memo dated 17th December 2008 in the office of the Vice President, Ministry of Home Affairs, the then parent ministry for the disability movement, first caught our attention. The memo in part read, quote, "The disability movement since 1990s reportedly is infiltrated by a powerful clique of 20 well-known personalities, with or without disabilities, controlling and dictating a gender of the disability for their selfish ends. They also control country and regional disability desks in most international charitable organizations. In this view, intended funds solicited for the benefit of the disabled persons do not reach the target." End quote. We began our investigation by visiting various parts of the country to get a first-hand look of day-to-day living of some of the persons with disabilities. We traveled to Mombasa City. What we find here is heartbreaking. 13-year-old Salim Hassan lying on the floor. Salim is mentally handicapped. He also suffers from Down syndrome. He cannot move. His condition has been deteriorating. His parents, Hassan Msoy and Mweupe Mwinyi, seem to have lost hope. Hassan and Mweupe say the cost of caring for Salim is a major burden on the family's finances. With a family of 6 children, putting food on the table is enough of a challenge. The poor diet the family survives on is not enough for a growing boy with Salim's needs.
Kuna lishe bora hajapatikana. Ukenda kwambia daktari mpaka kesho. Kenda kesho kwambia daktari mwenye kuhusika na mambo hajaingia. Sasa tumekaa ndipo tumfanya huduma tu za kinyumbani hivyo.
Worse still, in his body lies a broken needle. Doctors had inserted it partially to allow him receive medication. However, his mother could not afford to take him back to hospital to have it removed. A desperate mother, Mweupe attempted to remove it herself. It broke, and part of it remained inside his body. There was a time when families like this had no lifeline to reach for. They often locked up their children at home. But now the government releases millions every year to cater for persons living with disabilities like Salim. Salim's parents say they have visited various government offices in the region and found no help.
Chief ndo alisema tunde chama cha wazazi wasiojiweza liko ni area hiyo. Sasa ndo tupate msaada through hiyo chama kama kuna msaada inakuja. Maofisa wanatembea. Kila tukauliza wanasema bado tujapata, hakuna mwangaza wote tumepata.
They even registered with Philadelphia, a local non-governmental organization for persons with disabilities, 3 years ago in the hope of getting funds. 2 days after this interview, Salim died. The question is, where do the funds go? Desperation and hopelessness is also seen in these parents' faces. They have been waiting for help for more than 2 years. The long wait has stunned many cynical.
Kusema kweli nafanya kusikia pesa serikali imetoa vizuri, lakini sijui pesa zinapotelea wapi hapa hewani.
Wale wanaopata pesa hapa ni watoto wanaopata pesa kusaidika. Ni wale ambao wako na watu wao viongozi pale.
Hizo pesa zatolewa tu huko bara, sio huko. Zatolewa huko. Na tukiangalia tujapata ufahamishi kama watu wajua zatolewa huko bara basi.
And the story is the same from frustrated parents and groups around the country.
Every year during the time budget is being whatever, we can hear that some money have been released for persons with disability. But we usually ask, who are these persons with disability? Because like now in Githuguri, we have so many groups, but even if we inquire from one another, we find that the situation is the same, so we are not helped. So we feel that if that is the situation in the whole country, maybe some money falls in the wrong hand.
There are some unscrupulous people who are using their disabilities to source for funds, deceiving unsuspecting donors that the money will go to help persons with disabilities. Worse still, through our investigations, we were able to uncover the rot in the topmost office in the disability movement, the National Council for Persons with Disabilities. An insider privy to the shady dealings in the National Council for Persons with Disabilities, NCPWD, helped us uncover the corruption in the disability movement and how some unscrupulous people use their disability to source for funds, deceiving unsuspecting donors that the money will be used to help persons with disabilities, only to divert the funds for self-gain. Through our investigations, we were able to uncover one of the ways the National Council for Persons with Disabilities and the United Disabled Persons of Kenya, UDPK, are robbing people with special needs. In 2009, a dispute arose over who should get some 200 million shillings allocated in the national budget to persons with disabilities. The Kenya Society of the Mentally Handicapped, KSMH, took the National Council to court, challenging the use of the money. The Persons with Disability umbrella body United Disabled Persons of Kenya enjoined itself to the suit as an interested party. Our source informed us that the lawyers hired by UDPK to represent them in court were to be paid 7 million shillings in legal fees. A plot was then hatched between the National Council and UDPK to cover the lawyers' fee. The plan was simple. UDPK was to write a proposal seeking 15 million shillings to fund a project. The National Council would approve the proposal and release the money. Our informant also told us that 7 million shillings would go to pay the lawyers. The other 7 million shillings would be divided among officials of the two bodies involved in the plot, and the remaining 1 million shillings would be used in one of their programs. With the 15 million shillings proposal at hand, we begin our investigations. We headed to Rongai, accompanied by 2 private investigators. Our mission: to question the UDPK treasurer Peter Wango about the plot to fund a 15 million fake project. We presented the proposal to him. He denied everything. However, minutes after we left his office, Wango, who is deaf, handwrote a damning letter to UDPK chairperson Helen Obande. The letter in part read, "Helen, oh, the cat is out of the bag and the Anti-Corruption Commission is on the trail, investigating why UDPK paid lawyers to defend NCPWD using council money. They even have the copy of a proposal you sent to the National Council. We are now working with hypocrites and I do not know whether they got the proposal from the National Council or from the UDPK officers. Be alerted on how to cover the issue. Please tear this letter after reading and find ways to cover the money used to pay lawyers as you can from the council. Be cool and do not abscond. Also alert Phoebe if she is to find ways on how to solve the issue. Peter Wango." On getting a copy of the letter, we decided to return to Peter Wango's office to confirm whether in fact he was the author of the letter. The handwriting was the same, and through a translator in his office, he owned up to the letter.
He wrote this letter minutes after we left his office.
Yes, he confirms.
No, say it again.
He confirmed the letter. Sorry? He confirms, he says he confirms the letter.
He, however, insisted that he was innocent.
He says that the fact that you guys came to him shows that there's something that is out of the bag there. That's it.
Bank documents in our possession show a payment of 3.9 million shillings was made to the lawyers. It is unclear if or how the other payment was made. United Disabled Persons of Kenya chairperson Helen Obande, to whom the letter was addressed, rejected our request for an interview.
Hello.
Hello, is this Helen Obande?
Yeah?
Is this Helen?
Yes.
My name is Sophia. I'm calling from KTN.
Yes.
We wanted to request an interview with you. Are you available for one today?
For which one?
An interview with you.
On what?
UDPK.
About what?
Just how it's run and your functions and what you do. And the funds, yeah.
Because, you know, is that Sophia Wanuna?
Yes, it is.
Because I'm aware of what is going on, Sophia.
What are you aware of?
Huh?
What exactly do you know?
I know.
What?
I know what you guys are doing. So I don't mind talking to the media, but you have to tell me exactly what you want. Because I'm aware of what you people are doing. I find very odd. I think in March you guys went to Mr. Wango, who is deaf and is our board member. You interrogated him, and I don't know why you are going to board members and I'm here in the office. I thought you have gone round. So are you investigators or what are you?
We are journalists.
You have contravened that trust because you've already gone behind my back trying to dig out information. So by the time you're coming to me, I think it's too late. You should have come to me first. I'm sorry. Sophia, please just go ahead and do your story.
We confronted Phoebe, who is the director of the National Council for Persons with Disabilities. In the letter, Wango asks Helen to warn Phoebe. We presented her with a proposal.
Yeah, I'm aware of this.
We asked whether the 15 million shillings was released.
I can't remember until we go to our books. I don't think we funded the whole amount.
Is this the only proposal for a fake project that the National Council has approved? How many other tricks do senior officials in the National Council for Persons with Disabilities use to rob persons with disabilities? How much money has been lost to such scams? This as Hassan Msoy and his wife have lost their son, waiting for funds that never came. A worrying situation with the most vulnerable group in society, children affected. In Likoni, 17-year-old Mwanahamisi Mohammed births her mentally handicapped brother, 9-year-old Jay Mohammed. Even though she's not old enough to get a national identity card, Mwanahamisi is the head of an orphaned family of 5.
Mamangu alikufa, babangu pia akafa, nyanya yangu na baba.
These are the perfect candidates for the government's social protection programs. 5 vulnerable orphans, one of them handicapped, living in abject poverty. Every day is a struggle for Mwanahamisi, who has to cater for her family's needs the best she can, borrowing money or food from her neighbors. At times, the family goes without food for days. Tonight is one of the better nights. When night falls, they have something to eat. Orphaned, mentally handicapped, no medical attention and no support at all. 12-year-old Juma Mohammed has to fast fall asleep out here before he's moved by his siblings to the house. The following day, we decided to accompany Mwanahamisi to the district Gender and Social Development Office. Here we hope she can get some help from officers working for the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Development. We wait outside as a volunteer accompanies Mwanahamisi to the district officer's office. Here she was asked to pay 1,000 shillings to register before she can be considered for funding.
Katika kwenda kuregister ndio pesa, lakini sasa kwa sababu hii certificate ninayo, amesema hiyo atatumia, lakini kurenew utahitaji pesa kurenew 1,000.
With no money and no help, she's turned away. If there is a family in Likoni that should be considered a priority in receiving help from the government, this is it. So why are Mwanahamisi and her siblings out in the cold? Mwanahamisi cannot go to school. She has to stay home to care for Jay. This family should be receiving funds from the government through the cash transfer program. It is a program meant to send cash to persons with severe disabilities like Jay. Those by virtue of their disability cannot work or even be left alone. In Kenya, the money is transferred to these special groups of people through the post office. Last year, the National Council allocated 25 million shillings to cash transfer program. However, only 9 million shillings was sent to persons with severe disability. It is the use of the remaining 16 million shillings that raises further questions. Government officials say that 10% of money for any program goes to facilitate the program. In this case then, 250,000 shillings would have been used to facilitate disbursement of 24,750,000 shillings. However, that was not the case. Persons with severe disabilities only received 9 million shillings. Over 15 million shillings was diverted to the launch of a cash transfer program in Kakamega, including purchase of air tickets, making of t-shirts, and impressed to district gender officers among other functions. These, as those who need the money the most, suffer. Others, like Salim, die. These examples of waste, theft, and mismanagement are alarming, as frustrated parents around the country continue to struggle to bring up children with disabilities without any help. The fact that registration money is demanded by the Ministry of Gender officers raises other worrying questions. Doesn't this automatically lock out the people most desperately in need of help, like Mwanahamisi and her siblings, demanding that they first pay 1,000 shillings to be registered? There are also numerous cases of ghost projects consuming millions of shillings. The National Council, for example, is implicated in a case where over 12 million shillings went missing. We're now heading to Emuhuni Primary School, which is in Lurambi constituency. We understand the school received 13 million shillings to construct a unit for the children who are mentally handicapped. The National Council for Persons with Disability, via check number 001191, is seen here as sending Emuhuni Primary School in Kakamega 13 million shillings. The money was to construct an ultra-modern unit for students with disabilities and move them from this dilapidated structure. However, when we spoke to the headmistress, she said only 915,000 shillings had been sent. She showed us this letter from the National Council approving 915,000 shillings 599.
If we could have received, I'm sure this building could have.
With the 900,000 shillings received, the school has put up this structure. It has stalled due to what they say is lack of enough funds to complete the project. What happened to the extra 12.1 million shillings that was meant to go to the school?
Let me confirm. I cannot talk about it unless I confirm that. And I don't think it is true.
There are numerous opportunities for theft of the funds. Making cash withdrawals is said to be the easiest way to steal, as organizations can lie about what use the money was put to. Documents in our custody show how hundreds of thousands of shillings are withdrawn regularly in cash with no evidence the money goes to help persons with disabilities. KTN has been able to obtain bank statements for the National Council for Persons with Disabilities as well as the National Development Fund for Persons with Disabilities. And what is clear from these statements is that huge amounts of money are withdrawn in cash. Between November 2009 and March 2012, the National Council for Persons with Disabilities has made cash withdrawals totaling 33,962,267 shillings. The National Development Fund for Persons with Disabilities has, on the other hand, made cash withdrawals amounting 44 million shillings 123,294 between April 2010 and March 2012.
We don't, most of our payments we do by checks, but for our use in the office, because our petty cash is 100,000, we can go up to 100,000 for the petty cash in the office. Yeah. Unless there's something, for example, if we are going for training. If we are going for training, people must be given cash.
For many mentally handicapped people in Kenya and their families, life is a terrible ordeal. Take 80-year-old Paris Womboy in Subukia. For close to 2 decades, she has had little choice but to tether her grandson to this tree. James Karaoke is now 25 years old, but he has the mental capacity of a child. Karaoke is tethered like an animal, enduring whatever the weather brings if his grandmother is not around to untie him. So where do funds meant for persons with disabilities go? In part 2 of Masters of DECEIT.
Every time a minister is called, you expect your officers have done the groundwork. So if the officers didn't do their groundwork, you cannot blame me. And I'm not going to refuse to open a center because the officers have given me false information.
You are interrogating me as if I'm a thief. Hey, no. Yeah.
Sophia Wanuna, KTN.